Yeah, welcome to episode 20 of AUSHAMMER. You're joining myself, the real Bryn Shady, and Ryan with the
Let's crack a lack of hobo.
Look at this guy.
Mr. McNeill, how you going?
I'm going all right, guys. Thanks for having me on the show.
You're welcome.
So we were kind of due to do this an hour ago, but kind of not due to do this an hour ago. Just spent 4 minutes discussing how bad Queensland time is compared to the rest of the world. Do apologise.
Yeah, as I say, it's largely my fault for assuming that you guys were in Sydney and not Queensland.
Nobody wants to live in Sydney anymore. That place is just way too crowded.
That's pretty crazy.
Brisbane's where it's at.
Yeah, I enjoyed my time there.
Oh, so you have been down under?
Oh yeah, a couple of times now. Yeah.
Oh wow, where did you go? Did you visit anywhere interesting?
Yeah, I mean, the first time we were over, we stopped off in Sydney to begin with, and we hooked up with Ant Reynolds and stayed with him for a few days. Then we headed north up to Queensland, stayed with some friends up there. Then further up to Cairns, did some diving and horse riding up there. Then flew down to Perth, stayed a bunch of not Perth, so no, it's Melbourne. Sorry,
yep.
Stayed in Melbourne for a few days there. So we did sort of 2-week round tour of Australia, which was phenomenal, you know. And then I was back over for Oz Games Day back in, I think it was 2011.
Oh wow, that would have been wow. I actually remember that. I remember Oz Games Day.
I'm so sorry. The life of an author just sounds really hard, man. I don't know how you do it.
It's, you know, somebody's got to take that bullet, so why not?
It's nice to know you're doing your part. All right, let's kick on into it, gentlemen. And Bradley, do you want to smack us off with the news, man?
Yeah, man, let's do it. All right, so Warhammer 40k, not a whole heap has been going on. I think we're still reeling from the effects of the custodes and what has happened at the LVO. Pretty big event. If you guys want to read about the whole article, it's all on the Warhammer community website. But there was actually a really interesting event which involved really good sportsmanship with a couple of top tier players, and I believe even Riot Games got involved, gave Alex a pretty interesting sum of money. Is it $5 grand US or something?
Yeah. Well, Mark Merrill, who's one of the founders of Riot Games, he's a big 40k player, loves it. And I think he was just, you know, as one of the sort of tenets of Riot is all about the fair play, the good game, well played. You know, I think he heard of Alex's, you know, experience there and was like, yeah, that's brilliant. That's the proper spirit of the game stuff. I want to reward that. And, you know, a lot of other, you know, groups and people have come out and said, look, yeah, this is amazing. This should be, that kind of behavior should be, you know, celebrated. And, you know, I put a few messages up as well and so forth. Yeah, but it's, yeah, I've seen it doing the rounds, and, you know, I had my own opinions on it and so on. I thought, yeah, that's, you know, he held his cool better than I probably would have in a game like that.
Oh yeah, it was actually a phenomenal feat of sportsmanship. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's such a high level as well. That was really impressive. But yeah, not too much has been really happening in the 40k universe. I mean, we've had Necromunda models released, House Orlok. You've got some Necromunda stuff that's to be brought out pretty soon. They've got on order heroes. You got that the HQ girl from Escher and those bounty hunters. I mean, they generated a bit of excitement with the picture of the squat.
Squat bounty hunter, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So that was
apparently.
Yeah. Side note: hurry up and write a book about that, Graham. Jeez, come on, mate.
Okay, it'll go on the very long and getting longer every day list of.
You just smash one of those out over a weekend, surely.
You just have thoughts where you're like, oh, that'd be a really good book, and then you just like there's just like this list on the wall.
Hey, but it'd be the only time that it would be extremely suitable for it to be a short story. Oh, didn't. Okay. All right, I'm sorry.
Short stories for me are kind of where it's at the moment, just because. You know, like back before I came to the US, you know, and writing was my full-time gig. You know, it was that, you know, yeah, sure, 3, 4 novels a year, whatever, short stories, not audios and so on. Whereas now, you know, like, you know, I work full time. You know, I'm a respectable employee now. I work at a job now, and you know,
you have a real job.
Yeah, you know, my writing window has shrunk considerably.
For those of us that enjoy your work, that is not a good thing.
That's no excuse. I'm very aware of this, and you know, I write stories about space wizards and dragons and wizards and stuff all day, and you know, it's like you say, it's a tough old life doing this, but yeah, I've got a whole writing slew of things. The slate is full of stuff that I need to do and want to get onto, and so you know, there's going to be plenty more of that, you know. But Necromunda is one of the ones I've never really delved into, so you know, maybe that could bump it up the chain, because I'm always keen to try and, you know, find things from my writing slate that, you know, I haven't tackled before, or challenges that I think, oh, that could be fun. I've not done that.
Yeah, no, that's pretty good. Other than that, that's 40k news. Not much has happened other than a quick shout out to David Maidment, who was kind enough to drop me off a pile of battle foam for my, you know, 90 Cadians that I came across.
That's rank. I don't even want to talk to you about your 90 Cadians. You disgust me.
This is coming from
you are the most typical Tau player I've ever met. You know what? No. Right.
Love the Tau.
So there is a bit of AOS news. There's the Malign Portents thing, and all the death stuff that's come with it. It's everywhere. We're not going to bore everybody with the same details that we know you're probably reading about at the same time as listening to our cast anyway. There's the Malign Portents global campaign, which is kicked off, which is really good. I encourage you to go out and find a store that you can participate in that campaign in. Me personally, I will be finding a store that I don't need to buy specific dice and measuring equipment for, but can use whatever I've got. So if you're like me and tighter than a fish's bumhole, find those stores. They're pretty awesome. But yeah, it looks really good. I was reading the rules, reading the book, and it's amazing. And Brindley, I can't hold it any longer, buddy. Look what arrived, man.
Oh, our Warhammer thing awards.
Yeah, for being just. So it's the certificates for the 2017 Warhammer YouTubers Awards, and in it we won the best new series, and we also won best overall. So we were very lucky. Thank you to everybody who voted for us. We don't know why you voted for us, because I demand a recount. There's much better people out there. And congratulations to our brother Michael from Doom and Darkness. He also took out an award as well. So Australia did pretty well, Graham. We are pretty much, I don't mean to toot our horn, but Australia is pretty much, you know, the center of the universe for 40k and AOS now. We're pretty important. You might as well move here, mate.
Yeah. Well, you know, my wife would have us over there tomorrow, given the opportunity.
Well, you know what they say: if the Minister of War and Finance gives a direction, you bloody well do it. Otherwise, you're just going to be in trouble.
Well, if it comes to it, I would quite happily move out that direction.
Well, I think next time you're all together, you know, just be like, Aaron, Gav, Dan, boys, come on, get on a plane. We're all moving over.
Yeah,
buy out the street. Be like
we're not writing another word until you pay for that writer's retreat up in Cairns.
That's it. That is it. See, I like where your head's at.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's. there's a bit more AOS news as well. Other than that, all the Harbingers have been released. There's been some new Daughters of Cain stuff coming out as well. And my God, they look like amazing miniatures. I cannot wait to get one and get Brindley to paint it. It's going to be awesome. So
I need to get them just to do a conversion to make her a Fulgrim.
I actually thought you might say that, and I can see why you would too.
Yeah,
I can definitely. You see, he's the only Primarch that I think would have the 50 Shades of Grey trilogy on his bookshelf. Now,
would just look at that and go, "Yeah, you're doing it wrong."
You're on the right track, but you're just not there.
I love it.
Amateur error.
But yeah, this AOS is getting a bit of attention, which I'm personally happy about because I am a fantasy buff. So much so, Graham, that I've got the Ambassador, Ursa's Teeth, Guardians of the Forest, and a couple of other ones if you look. So, yeah, thanks for those, by the way, buddy. Appreciate it. But yeah, so was there any other news, Brindley? Did we miss anything?
No, I don't believe so. I mean, we had over in Australia-wise, we've obviously got our usual amount of events that are going on. Event-wise it's pretty dry at the moment. Everyone's still recovering from like some of the bigger events. I mean, this like last year around August, October when we kind of started AUSHAMMER, we actually had quite a few events that were kicking off pretty regularly, but everything's starting to wind down. I think everyone's just getting back into the new year and trying to work out what they're doing. Two big ones, really. I mean, we've got Line Breaker, which is being run through Objective Secured, an outpost 6030. That's going to be a 2-day event where they actually go and play some pretty exciting events. And then we've got Irresistible Force, March 7, Scouting and Talos, 500 points. April 7, Force Axe 2, I'll be going to that. And then the Southeast Queensland Teams Tournament. And then July 29th is Force Axe 3. All really cool places. Really, really enjoy it. It's gonna be pretty exciting. I'm looking forward to it. There's gonna be a fair few events. I think Ryan's trying to share screen something. Ryan, are you there?
Yeah, buddy, I'm here.
Oh, you're there. Are you share screening things?
I am. I'm looking at a picture of what looks like something like the most ugliest AOS miniature I've ever seen in my life.
How about you lock the screen, and then we can talk about it.
Yeah, that's right there, buddy. There we go.
That's right. That's good to go. So this is one of the things I've been doing during hobby. I've been lucky enough to paint up some Primaris for a friend. Working on a Librarian, did a bit of Zenithal highlighting. Pretty exciting. There should be another image in there of an aggressor that I finished and finally got on a base. There we go. Nice and yellow. Looking pretty good. Lots of shells. I kind of held off on basing for a little bit, but one of the things that I've been doing during hobby, we all know Ryan doesn't do any hobby, so I've got to make up for it for us. So.
That's because I'm too busy kicking ass and taking names, mate. All right.
Graham, you got anything cool? Oh, these are all the bases I've been doing. You've been doing any hobby? Do you do much hobby?
Not nearly as much as I used to, but we've still got, like me and my son Evan. He's getting into 40k now. We're sort of dipping our toes in the water. He's only 8, but he already knows his stuff, and we play a lot of like Space Hulk. Play a lot of that.
Yeah, that game's good.
Yeah, it's great fun, and it's a game you can properly play one-on-one. So we built all the models for that, and he's got a collection of random models. A force of Terminators, Space Marines, High Elves, and Cthulhu in his team. And we've got the Dark Imperium box set that we're slowly working our way through to get built, and we play with all my old my armies. But yeah, that's one. The one I'm using, him as an excuse to sort of bring out some fresh models, get a lick of paint on them, and when we retreat to the back room, it's like it's for the boy. We're doing
honey, I'm going to teach our son about the man cave.
Exactly.
I'm going to be gone a while. Yep.
So yeah, we're building up our Plague Marines and Pox, the Pox Walkers and all the rest of it. And I can't bring myself to be a Chaos Army. I just can't do it. I'm loyalist to the bone. So.
Oh mate, nobody's perfect. Don't beat yourself up about it.
I don't. Okay. I don't. It's just this decision.
I think that probably comes out in your writing a little bit as well. So
yeah. I like I like the heroic part of heroic fantasy. Whether it's Space Wizards or Earthbound Wizards. The dark endings nice now and again, but I do like the good guys to win.
Well, I know it's not GW related, but there was the whole IMX book.
Yeah.
So you sort of you cross both. You cross both.
I can dabble with evil now and again.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I,
Actually, that was a really good book. And if anybody out there is wondering if needs another book to read, that's part of IMAX is a book for the StarCraft series by Blizzard.
That is awesome. I love that.
Yeah,
that's a while ago. That was originally I had a plan in place to do a different novel for the StarCraft series, but then at the time we figured when it was going to come out and so on, they were like, well, that's just about the right time for the release of StarCraft 2. So,
that was what, 2009 or something?
Yeah, it would have been far off that. Yeah, I mean, they wanted a bridging novel that would link StarCraft 1 and 2, and Valerian was the obvious, way to do that. So, and yeah, I had a ton of fun doing that book. That was great fun to do.
I enjoyed reading it.
Nice one. Thanks.
And you've definitely contributed heavily to the 40k universe. Like, I know you occasionally dabble with fantasy and Age of Sigmar, but the volume of novels that you've punched out for 40k is absolutely phenomenal. Is there a race or a faction that you haven't covered yet that you really want to get into?
I think all the ones that I've wanted to do, I've usually found a way to involve them somehow. I've beaten up Orcs, Tau, Eldar, Necrons, Chaos. All the sort of the classic villains have usually ended up in my sights at some point. I mean, I'd love to. I always fancied, like, it's not really 40k, but the one I always wanted to do a proper meaty dark elf novel, because I did the Guardians of the Forest for the Wood Elves, and then I did the 2 books for the High Elves, Defenders of Ulthuan and Sons of Illyrian. Yeah, and I really wanted to do a dark elf novel to sort of do the, get the hat trick and
that would have gone good with that would have been something really awesome to read after like Heldenhammer and the Empire one as well, the the God King. Sorry, so yeah.
I mean, I always, as far as 40k goes, I mean, I pretty much got to play with all the ones that I really wanted to. I don't think there was no one race in particular. I thought, I really, really want to do a book about these guys, or I wish I'd done a book about these guys, because I think I managed to find a way to. Because if you really want to write a novel about them or a story about them, then go and write one.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I was doing. There weren't really many that escaped me. I mean, the one I'd have liked to maybe have touched on in a broader sense was probably the Dark Eldar. Because I used them a little bit in my first book, Nightbringer.
Yep.
I never really got to properly, go deep into their culture. Take a character to Camorra or something like that, or properly explore the politicking and the subterfuge and the assassinations and all the rest of it that goes on in the city there. So that's one I would have.
Yeah, that's right. Because from there you jump to the Storm of Iron from there. So so that's a big change too.
Yeah, again, Storm of Iron was born out of a desire, because I'd read too many stories of Chaos Space Marines not being scary, and Chaos Space Marines being, wahahaha, I will have all the power and I am all conquering and never to be defeated. Oh, I've been defeated. And it was really by virtue of them being just stupid that got them defeated. So I was like, no, I want to write a novel where they feel scary, that they've been around for a long time doing exactly the same things, and they've got extra chaos juice in their veins. So these guys should be bloody scary. And I was going into the book thinking I want them to win. And the thing that I enjoyed about writing of that book was that all through it, I didn't even know myself. I mean, I had 2 endings planned for the book as to which one, depending on how I was feeling writing the book, that I would use. But when I got closer to the end, I was like, yeah, it's got to be the Iron Warriors, because otherwise, It's just, you know, I'm repeating all the mistakes that drove me to write this book in the first place. So it has to be them. And at that point, we'd never had a book where the bad guys won. And I remember being, you know, walking around in GW at the time, and a lot of people from like sort of senior management stopping me and going, "What are you doing? You guys can't win. The bad guys won.
When you at the last staff meeting, this is not how it goes."
It's exactly the same thing. You know, if the bad guys never win, they cease to be a threat, and nobody will take them seriously.
Yeah. Well, you've mentioned in previous interviews and stuff like that about your writing and how it's you've got to be careful what you guys write, because if you screw up in a book, it can change the whole universe. And you guys are essentially the creators of this universe, more or less, for us, the consumers. So yeah, I can imagine how that would go in the office, making chaos when if that wasn't something that was initially perceived as the right course.
Yeah, I mean, we write in the universe that the design studio at Games Workshop creates for us. I mean, you know, those guys and girls in the studio, they create the sandbox that we then play with all the toys. And, you know, usually, you know, you put the toys back where you found them, and sometimes you won't.
Hey, mate, it's your name on the book.
But, you know, we work with the editors, and the editors work with the design studio, and everybody, you know, tries to make something cohesive that isn't just we're not gonna put out a book that says, you know, and the Emperor's dead and chaos wins and what have you. You know, because the studio might go, wait a minute, we've got plans for this universe in future.
Yeah.
So, you know,
well, you mentioned that they give you a sandbox and you get to play with all the toys, right? So I'm taking that as a my name is Graham, and I've played with lots of 40k and 30k toys. Do you recall the booties of any of those toys?
Only the one that slapped with the brush.
Well, I have 10 40k booties for you to look at today, and I would like you to try and guess what they are. Now, this is a game that we came up with a little while ago. So Gav Thorpe has already had a shot at this, and he's gotten 50-50. So 5 out of 10 he managed to get.
Okay.
I think that you can do better. I would. I'm hoping for a 10 out of 10 if I'm honest.
I'm girding my loin to look at tiny metal bottoms.
That's it, mate. That's it exactly. Nothing sus here. Now, I'm going to bring up the first one, and you just let me know what you think it is. Bear with me a second. All right, Mr. Graham McNeill, guess that booty.
Oh, that's tiny.
I can zoom in a bit for you if you like. How's that?
Okay, I'm thinking that might be, let's see. That doesn't look particularly loyalist with all those curves on it. So are we looking at some Night Lord butt there?
Brindley, have you got your crayon out, buddy?
I've got my crayon. I'm ready. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to do the official.
Here we go.
For the event. That is. Yep.
Gilliman's backside.
It's all right. I had the same reaction when I saw the model. It's all right.
And Brindley spends a lot of time looking at plastic bums. So
I just basically part-time hobby.
Well, that's deeply embarrassing getting that one wrong straight off the bat.
But well, I don't know. Like I can see what you're saying.
That's a hint of chaos there.
Yeah,
well, actually, maybe you knew that, but you were just hinting at something about Gulliman.
Well, maybe the first time that I've done something like that, and it's all gone now. All gone pierced.
Now GW are like, what are you doing, Graham? Are you hinting that he's chaos? No, you can't do that. You got
Don't give it all away.
All right. Bun number 2. Guess that booty.
Oh, there we go. That's
okay. Well,
that is really script. Like that gives away nothing. Could you pick something like less ambiguous?
There's a skull on the weapon.
40k. Dark Angel Tactical Marine. Oh, Assault Marine.
Assault Marine.
It is indeed Assault Marine. Actually, part of the Assault Squad, you could kit that.
That's pretty good.
All right. Number 3.
This was the right chapter.
Guess that booty.
There we go. All right, there's got to be Space Wolves.
Yeah, there's a Space Wolf there. I mean,
a lot of fur going on.
One of the Wolfen.
Oh, maybe.
It is indeed.
Hey.
Space Wolves Wolfen.
And we're off to start. Wolfman.
He borrowed his haircut from Fire Slayer. Next one, I've added a bit more than just the booty in it because without trying to, I don't know if you can be racist in the 40k world, but all their bums do look the same. Guess that booty.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
so
that looks like a Space Marine
baseball
up by the look of it.
Oh.
So what are we going with? Sorry.
Space Wolf Dreadnought by the look of it from behind.
That it is.
That it is. Look at that.
I just double checking. You haven't been looking at plastic bums before our show, were you?
I think there may have been a particular catalogue and used for reference.
Okay. All right. That's all right. We admire that honesty. All right. Here we go. Guess that booty.
Oh.
That's one of the Chaos ones. It's the which one's it? The Hellblight or what was it called? The
got like feet.
The murder beast things. I can't remember what it's called though.
You can buy a vowel if you like.
Murder Brute.
That's pretty close.
It's a Forged Fiend.
Oh, well, it'd be a Mauler Fiend or a
yeah. That's what I'm thinking of. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. This is one close to my heart. I would like to get a 30k army of these guys. Guess that booty.
Well, that is very nondescript.
Yeah, I'm thinking
back of something.
Suns there, maybe Araman.
Oh yeah.
That's what good for Araman, enough for Araman, but okay, I'm going for 1,000 Suns Sorcerer.
Hey.
Rubric from Marine.
Marine.
Yes.
Are we giving that one? That's pretty.
I think that's a half a point. We have to.
That's a half point.
Because and reason being that also looks like Gulliman's ass.
Yeah, see, there you go.
Yeah, so
I did realise it was a little too plain for a sorcerer, but yeah, we were in the right ballpark.
Yeah, I tell you, he does have a pretty average booty, but you know, who are we to judge?
Yeah, I know.
This one, little less average. Guess that booty.
And this I would say that's almost kind of Necron flayed one, but are we still in 40k here in this one?
All in 40k.
All in 40k. Okay. Who's got a butt like that then? That's like a Chaos Harpy or something, or is it not? I mean, it'd be a Nid or something.
It was very close to a Chaos Harpy. You're on the right track there.
Would that be one of a Gargoyle or something? Yeah.
A Chaos Spawn.
Spawn.
He's a handsome chap, that one too.
He's a handsome.
All right, 3 more to go.
Man,
you can still bring this back in and top gaff. So let's go. Number 8. Guess that booty. Now, this is quite a recent addition to our booty collection.
I don't know. Is that puts me in mind of Skitarii, Adeptus Mechanicus. I don't know. Maybe Belisarius Call. Oh, the Custodian's jet bike.
Yeah, the banana bikes.
Banana bike.
Oh man.
Number 9.
Those things are tearing through tournaments.
All gone horribly wrong.
I think they look great. I like it. All right, number 9 is guess that booty.
Oh, it's a
Brindley, you hold the crayon and close your mouth. You are not giving out bloody hints. Brindley's terrible for this. He just wants to. One day we'll let you play, Brindley.
Yay!
We've got Space Marine Scout.
It's not a Space Marine
Oh, is
I'll
it
give you that much.
the Mordian Guard or Acadian or something?
This is a hard one. This was a hard one. I did question whether or not I should add it, but there was a bit more to it up here that sort of gave a little bit away as well.
That looks like I'm not sure. It looks like lightning on it or something.
It's the hybrid metamorphs.
You just a stealer.
Or as some people like to call them, the mother-in-laws.
The mother-in-laws.
Okay. Now, the last one, number 10.
Okay, let's go out on a high note.
And this is for this is to make sure that it's for inclusion and just to make sure that we've got diversity. Guess that bouquet.
Looks
like one of the assassins. So I'm going to say it's the Calidus assassin.
It's a witch.
A witch.
Oh,
so close.
Is that 10? Is that all 10?
That's 10.
That's
what are we at?
Oh, that's abysmal.
2.5.
Oh, Graham.
Oh, buddy.
I've let myself down.
It's all right.
We're not angry. We're just disappointed.
Yeah. In my head in miniature booty ignorance.
It's it is hard. It just means that obviously Gav has spent a lot more time looking at plastic bums than you.
Yeah, there's actually there's a plus side to that, and there's a silver lining.
There definitely is.
I simply haven't time to look at tiny plastic booties.
Now, I'm about to get up and go and grab something that I'd like you to give away today for us, Graham, if that would be all right with you. And what we're going to do in the meantime is, Brindley, if you could just ask some of the questions that we've prepared for Graham while I go and get a prize for him to give away. We can then go through questions from our audience. We've had a social media post out for a while now asking what questions they would like to ask you and that sort of thing. And we'll read some of those out as well. And you just pick the one that you like the best or the one that you've heard the least. And that will be the one that will be winning a prize today. So I'm going to go and get that, Brindley. Take it away, buddy.
All right.
Let's do it.
Can do. All right. So, I mean, you do a lot of interviews. You are quite a popular author, having written so many amazing novels and contributed so heavily to the 40k universe. Is there something people ask you all the time that just pisses you off?
Honestly, no. I mean, there may be a question that I've answered 50 times from 50 different people, but it's the first question to them. So no, there's nothing. I've never been at any kind of event or anything, and people have spoken to me and said, "Oh, when's the next X novel coming out?" or "Can you write X character?" or whatever. And it's like, that's important to them. So no, there's never been a question I've sat in going, "Oh, for crying out loud, this." Yeah. I mean, the one we always used to laugh at, when we had the conventions and what have you. We'd have a little author sweepstake of how long it would take for somebody to mention the squats. Oh. And it'd be like, who had 5 minutes? Who had 10 minutes? Who had whatever? But in the question that winds me up, no, not at all.
Oh man, well that's good. That's good. So, all right, as a writer, do you identify any strengths or weaknesses in your own works, and how would you potentially deal with them and build on them? There's from a writing, world building sort of view.
Sorry, I missed the beginning of the question there.
As a writer, have you identified any strengths and or weaknesses in your own works?
Right.
How would you potentially build on them?
That's a big, broad question. I don't know. I think there's the danger in any writer, if you work in one particular field or genre for any length of time, is the danger of repeating yourself. And that's one I try and keep a watchful eye on, because you can sometimes find yourself, I should say, doing what you think is a great scene and a great moment, and think, oh wait, shit, I just did that 5 novels ago. Or you find yourself relying on a trope of a character type or a moment where one thing happens to kick off another, and you think, yeah, I've kicked off that kind of moment several times already. So as far as, you know, any kind of dangers in writing, for me, that's the one I keep a watch out for most, because there's lazy habits you find yourself falling back on every now and again, to occasionally, you know, move a scene from one moment to the next, or a plot from one moment to the next. You know, that's the one I'm always on guard for, because I know I have fallen prey to that before, and you know, when I've been doing things, luckily, you know, each time the editors have caught it and said, oh wait, no, remember in Storm of Iron you had a moment where, oh yeah, shit, so I did. Then as far, yeah, you know, I like to think I can surprise a reader more often than not, you know, and take a story in a direction they didn't expect it, and have an ending that is properly like big and important, you know, exciting. You know, you build, you know, when you're writing, planning out your novel, you try and get as many, you know, you figure out, okay, I want at least 5 or 6 moments of awesome in this book. Bits where people will go, oh, holy shit, and the bits that they'll talk to their gaming buddies about. Oh man, have you read, you know, the latest book with, you know, Graham's done or whatever, and there's this moment in it, oh yeah, that was awesome. You know, that's, you try and build in a bunch of those that, you know, aren't just there for the sake of being there, but, you know, they support the plot, you know, the characters have driven it to the point of the story to that point. But yeah, it's those are the bits I think I can build a good set piece and make it feel like that was the natural progression of the story, as opposed to just, you know, a giant big stompy monster thrown in for the sake of a giant big stompy monster.
Fair enough too. And also with that, I noticed that your writing changes a lot as well. The 40k books I felt seem to be a bit more intimate, focused on a smaller group, whereas your 30k stuff as well, you've got huge, like larger battles there. They're on a grander scale and stuff like that as well. So I appreciate your versatility as well.
Again, that was something. Yeah, we were, you know, from the very earliest days of the heresy books. You know, this was Alan Merritt's, one of his sort of, not commands as such, was like, hey, we're telling stories in 30k. Whatever you tell it big. And a lot of, you know, to get that scope of epic storytelling, this is a galactic-wide conflict, whereas 40k, you know, most of us tended to stick to our own little corners of the galaxy to tell our stories in, so we didn't have to worry too much about connectivity and continuity between what Dan was doing over here and Gav was doing over there, and Aaron and Jim and Chris and so on. Yeah. You know, we tended to stick to our own little corners so that we could just do what we wanted and not have to worry about that. Whereas heresy, that's not an option. You know, the whole galaxy is the battleground, and we are interleaving everybody's stories within each other. So you have to tell it big. You have to go, you know, go big or go home. And those ones,
100%, yeah.
And one of the key things about 40k and heresy is that we kind of decided it would need to be a thing early on. Was like, you know, within the first couple of pages, even if the title, the author, and the cover were all stripped off the book, within a couple of pages of reading this, you would know instantly, I'm reading a 30k book, or I'm reading a 40k book. You know, the tone, the language is, even in the first opening bits, you should know that you're reading something epic and big of 30k, you know. And 40k can do that too, but it just feels like a different tone.
Yeah, it definitely does. I agree. So this is what you're going to be giving away today, by the way.
Is that a chimera?
So it's an Imperial Guard Chimera.
I love it.
So
the workhorse, the Astra Militarum.
Yeah. So and this is thanks to Irresistible Force, Graham. They're a local store here in Brisbane. An independent store, and they've been nice enough to give us this to give away to the person of your choosing, which we're about to go through now. So Brinley's going to read the first question, and we'll fire off 6 of them, and you just tell us the name of the person, the question that you appreciate the most, and we will be sending that out. Now, this doesn't mean that Graham didn't appreciate all the questions. However, I do only have one box. And I'm sure that Irresistible Force, if you're listening, feel free to give us 5 more, and then we can definitely give away more. But no, they have been kind enough to give us a lot. So, yeah. Alrighty,
Okay.
so Brinley, it's all on you, buddy. If you want to go first.
Oh, okay. So this one's from Addison Mello, and she is asking, what is your favorite Warhammer project thus far in your career?
Famous Warhammer approach.
And that can also include the video games as well, I might add.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a tough one because I say, like, I've been involved in so many that have had huge impact on me in the being involved in it, and others, you know, in ways that, you know, like working in the Black Templars Codex with Mark Gibbons was tremendous fun because, you know, he and I worked really well together in that, and we got a lot of great imagery and stories out of it. Working with Ant Reynolds and Paul Jaycock on the Wood Elf army book. Oh, they were working on it, and I was, like, you know, working at the next desk to them, and I was being, you know, so inspired by it that I was able to, you know, the stuff that came out of that was Guardians of the Forest. So, but then I think the one that I think resonates the most with me was probably the Demon Hunters Codex, because I worked with Phil Kelly and Andy Chambers on that one, and that was a moment where we really got into the sort of the madness in 40k. We kind of tried to figure out, okay, what makes 40k, you know, the craziness, the mad servitors, the crazy acolytes, the strangeness of 40k. So if I had to pick one, it would be probably Demon Hunters.
That's awesome. That was God. So there's so much lore wrapped up in what Demon Hunters are.
Yeah.
And, oh man,
it strikes the core of what 40k is all about. You know, like you're talking of like the Inquisition and demons and monsters from beyond, and whereas, you know, in the real world that was, you know, a horrific time that was used as an excuse for a lot of things. In 40k, it's real. You know, that's the threat is real. Demons and witches and evil things coming out of your nose are totally real.
And it really
that just sounds like another day in the office for me.
It sounds like having a quote.
Really embodies 40k and the grim darkness of the universe, which is what I love about the Inquisition and the Demon Hunters, and love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
It's basically just a trip to Wales, isn't it?
My wife is from Wales, so you better watch.
I'm from Cardiff, so I get a free pass.
You're all right. Yeah.
All right, so that's one question. The next question is from Nathan Carson. You've had the chance to write in depth about a number of characters in the Horus heresy. Who has been your favorite so far, and can you expand on why?
I mean, you'd have to work hard to eclipse Horus himself.
Yeah.
I mean, Horus was, because Horus is one of these characters where before we did the books in the Horus Heresy series, you know, you mentioned the word Horus, and your first inclination was to jump straight to the big bad, arch heretic, destroyer of the Imperium, betrayer of the Emperor.
Yeah.
And it was such a refreshing change when I read Dan's Horus Rising. It was a sort of a real kind of reminder. It was like, oh yeah, Horus was actually an awesome guy. He was a tremendous human, post-human character. He, you know, half the armies of the Imperium followed him into hell, and the whole of the Imperium would have followed him had he not, you know, fallen to chaos eventually. And reading Dan's, you know, incarnation of Horus itself was just amazing. So, you know, when I came to write False Gods, I felt awful because I was like, oh my god, this character we set up to be brilliant. Of course, it means nothing if he's not been set up to be this guy. If he was already a bit of a shitbag, nobody would have cared if he'd fallen. But he wasn't. He was the Emperor's brightest, best son.
So your first Facebook post when writing False Gods would have been, just started False Gods, #sorry Dan.
I mean, luckily we worked hand in hand on the first few books. You know, just making sure that we got the tone right and everything. And I remember sending an email to Dan at one point, going, "I'm really sorry. I'm going to do something horrible to him. I didn't want to do it." So yeah, and the figures that you get to write, you get to play with the biggest toys in the box in the Heresy series, and I have to say, getting to write Horus was a huge thrill in book 2, and later when I came back to Horus in Vengeful Spirit, you know, getting to write his dialogue and his scenes was tremendous. So I'd as much as I love writing other people, you know, like Fulgrim's always great fun. Lucius is always great fun to write. Magnus, I've had tremendous fun with Magnus, but I think it's got to be Horus.
That's brilliant. God, it's so like just listening to all the characters that you've created and just being able to play around with the different different character aspects, like just Horus himself, like being able to talk about how he was a normal person before. And like I just finished reading listening to Black Legion by Aaron, and he takes a similar tone, but a little bit further on after they've obviously been banished to the warp, and after they talk and how they reflect on Horus and how they talk about it. It's you forget how there's almost a different aspect to it, and that's something that we're now discovering through the Horus Heresy series, and still are, which is what I love. Which, because when I first got into it, it was Space Marines, Chaos Space Marines. These guys are the bad guys. These guys are the good guys, and that's it. But what you guys have developed for us has given us so much more depth to the story. It's
we see what you've done now, Graham. You've made him fanboy out. You've broken
we couldn't get them. You know, I love it. We couldn't just do black and white. We couldn't just do these are the pantomime bad guys. There had to be moments where you kind of felt, I kind of get why you're doing this. Because, you know, if it's that cut and dried, then nobody would have stuck with us for the journey, and they have for like 45, 46 books so far.
Oh, such an amazing series. So we'll leave that question to last because you are probably sick of that one.
There are no questions I get sick of. Trust me.
Oh, this one's about squats. So I don't know.
So all right, that's it.
That was about 45 minutes.
Yeah, cool. About 45 minutes.
Reset the clock. Should we ask about plastic sisters while we're here, or? Okay, so the next one, right? So we'll leave the squat one out. We kind of touched on the factions. There's a really good one in here. Oh, that one's kind of sad. Okay, so Will, is the Iron Warriors series? Are you finished with them, or are you going to be touching back on them? Is he going to be making another appearance? The Warsmith himself, he's going to be.
Whose question was that?
Right, so this is Samuel Burke. This is from Samuel Burke.
Okay, well, yeah, no, totally. The Iron Warriors, ever since Storm of Iron, you know, like Storm of Iron was supposed to be one-off, you know, one and done. Oh, that's it, we're all done. But, you know, by the end of that book, I'd kind of fallen in love with the character of Honsu, and like, yeah, I really, really want to tell more stories of him. And yeah, he was a character who totally grew in the telling. You know, he became part of a bunch of short stories, a novella. He eventually interleaved twice with the Ultramarines series. And I think where I left Honsu was in a short story called The Corpse Road, where he'd escaped from Ultramar, and he was heading back to Medjugorje, essentially to deliver a kick up the arse to Perturabo and say, mate, you've had your time in the dark, it's time to get back out there. You know, there's a poor Imperium out there that needs a good arse kicking. I've started the ball rolling for you, but let's get moving. Right? Hurry up then. I haven't got to that story yet, but absolutely, I definitely do want to get back to Honsu.
Good.
Absolutely.
Big.
Right.
I remember Storm of Iron was. I read a couple of novels prior to coming across Storm of Iron. I think I'd gone through the Gaunt's Ghost series and a couple other stuff, but it wasn't until I actually got to Storm of Iron that the actual grim darkness of the Chaos Space Marines really hit home. Some of the atrocities you made them, like, you wrote in for them, like, inspiring. I loved it. It was,
yeah, I mean, these guys have got to be badasses and awful. You know, that there's got to be every time you start to root for the bad guys, you have to remind people every now and again. Yeah, bad guys marching innocent people into a bombardment and a minefield to clear it out.
Yeah. Just
see, I remember watching it. I remember reading it in 2005 because I sat there going, should I go to school today? And I'm in my last year of high school, I think, my last year of senior school. And I remember sitting there thinking, nah, I think I'm just going to wag today and read this book. And that was Storm of Iron. So that's your fault for me missing that day of quality education.
It served him well so far.
I take full responsibility for this.
All right. So next question is from James Irvine. If you were to write about a Xenos race that is unrepresented in the lore, like Rak Gol, for example, was what he's got here, what would you choose and why?
I think if I had my choice of the ones who aren't, who don't already have a codex or what have you, I would probably choose the Herud, because they just look like cool. They would be really difficult to write about, I think, but that in itself feels like it would be a worthy challenge to undertake. I remember I was chatting to Dan at one point when we were talking about when we were planning out the Raising of Prospero books, so Prospero Burns and 1,000 Suns, and originally Dan was going to go down the 1,000 Suns route, and I was going to do the Space Wolves books, but the more we chatted over emails, the more stuff each of us read, and when we finally got in the room to sort of have a proper writer's room to thrash out all the stuff that we could do, should do, shouldn't do, what have you, we figured out, we realized we were actually talking each other out of our own books and into each other's. So halfway through the meeting, we were like, do you want to do the Wolves? And I'll do this. I'm just about to say that. And one of the things Dan was saying, the Space Wolves, because he almost because he didn't, and I'm putting words into his mouth here, but it was like the idea, that he didn't get the Space Wolves, why they were cool, so that demanded further exploration, and it demanded him figure out what made Space Wolves cool, and then just mine that hugely in Prospero Burns.
I'm still trying to figure that out too. I just don't think I can forgive them personally for what they did. But
some wounds it's too soon, man. It's too soon.
Yeah, that's it. Amen.
Magnus did nothing wrong.
Something that was difficult and challenging is often, I think, where the best creative meat lies. Because if you're not challenging yourself as a writer to find new things to say, new ways to tell stories, and trying to explain the unexplainable in terms of trying to write a novel from the point of view of a Hormagaunt. You know what? I don't think you can do a novel that way, but I think it'd be a cracking short story, and it'd be a great experiment of how to do something. So a race like the Herud, I think, offer the real grimdark possibilities and a chance to do something new, because there's so much that has been said about all the other races we've got. There's still plenty more to say, but delving, I love the challenge of delving into something that's brand new. And sure, we know tantalizing bits and pieces about the Herud, but very little, and that
would be an interesting series of short stories then.
Yeah, I mean, let's say the list is long of.
I bet it is. Yeah.
What about a story from the point of view of a Necron warrior? What would that be like?
I fell down. I woke up. I fell down. I woke up. It'd probably be that for about 6 pages.
I think the Necrons, going from that point of high leadership, from all the way back in the beginning, I think that'd be really amazing. I don't know, man. That'd be so cool. I mean, I love what you did with Priests of Mars in that series. So
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
the
like,
exact
you're all
thing.
over the robots, so
Yeah, trying to look at characters we've not seen before, archetypes we've not seen before, and you know, what haven't I done? I mean, I used to do back, years back. I still every now and again do it, but I used to do a sort of state of the nation kind of thing and look back and think, okay, what character types, what factions, what stories have I not told? What point of view characters have I skirted over and so on, and find the gaps and go, oh, cool. I mean, you mentioned the Ambassador early on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're two of my favorite books that I've written, and largely they came about, okay, what at the time certainly, what places had we not seen, and we hadn't seen a lot of Kislev at that point.
Yeah,
and I thought, well, character types, and I liked the idea of an old guy rather than the young mercenary bounty hunter soldier. I thought, well, how about a guy who's way at the end of his career path? He's put out to pasture. He's the old guy. That's not somebody we've seen before. So that's where that story came out of. What could I tell?
I like that story more now that I'm older as well, because I sort of identify with the character more. So yeah.
Well, and of all my books, I mean, leaving aside the obvious, like heroism and so on, and the skill of the blade, there's a lot of him and there's a lot of me and him, shall we say?
I love it. Oh, it's amazing.
What about her son's teeth?
Well, I mean, the two of them. Yeah, I mean, as a whole, the Ambassador.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they were. They were awesome.
Yeah, I love them a lot. Well, I would say I didn't have a lot of fun writing them because, when I was, the ending of that book came out of breaking up with someone. So hence the sort of grimmer nature at the end.
All right. Now, is it weird that it now all just makes sense? It's all just fallen into place.
All makes sense now.
That's it. All right. So that's that was number 5, was it?
That was number 4. I've got
number 4.
Last question. This is from Jason Miles. What would be the book or the story that you had the hardest time finishing?
The Crimson King, without a shadow, without.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. It's all over it.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
The Crimson King was a hard book, and it had a very troubled kind of genesis, in that it was a book that was started while there were a lot of other projects in flight at Games Workshop, and a lot of things impacted various elements of the story early on that, I had whole sections that were going this direction, then some other project at Workshop kind of knocked that, said, no, actually, we can't really do that because of Project X, so we're going to say that in this book, so you can't really have that moment in there. And it seesawed back and forward to the point where I junked tens of thousands of words quite regularly to get it back on schedule, get it back on story track, and try and slot it back into a story that I wanted to tell, given that I couldn't go down certain paths and so on. And then about halfway through the book, I moved my entire family from the UK to the US. So the months leading up to that point were stressful because we were trying to sort out visas and moving schools and furniture and houses and so on, and leasing out our house in the UK and leasing a place in the US. And then obviously moving out to the US was stressful. You can't move a whole family out there without, things getting lost in the by the wayside. And
then there's all the Americans. Yeah. Oh.
The easy part. They were the easy part. They've been great. Finding time to write when your whole family's there and they haven't seen you all day, and they've been stranded in a city that they don't know, with no people they know, no phones, no internet, no furniture, no TVs, no nothing. It felt really. To me, it felt bad that I would come home from work going, "Yeah, I've been meeting all these really cool, new, interesting people. See you later. I'm going downstairs to write now for the rest of the evening." So it lay fallow for a good little while after we came to the States. And, like anything, if you leave it so long, the longer you leave it, the harder it becomes to go back to it. And eventually it got to the point where I was like, I started to think, I just don't know that I can, because it becomes such a sort of pain point. I was like, anytime I thought of going back to it, I was like, I don't want to. But then eventually, you know, I did the Magnus the Red novella as a sort of, you know, I spoke to Nick Kime a lot at BL, and, you know, through chatting to him, we came up with, well, let's do a novella, Magnus the Red one, you know, the Primarch series. And that'll be, you know, sort of get back on the horse for Thousand Suns, and the language of 40k and 30k and so on. And eventually, yeah, we got that done, and that was fun. I enjoyed that, and I sort of rode the wave of the enthusiasm that I'd gotten from writing that book. And I decided to, you know, because by this point I'd forgotten half the plots and storylines that I was going to tell in Crimson King, because the synopsis you've got in front of you, you know, the 3 or 4 page document you've got, tells you fraction of the story. It just tells you big beats of what happens and who goes where.
The elements of the story, sort of thing.
It's a skeleton. There's no meat to it of all the plots and drama and nuance that you wanted along the way. So I'd forgotten all of that by this point. So I reread what I'd written already a bunch of times, and my philosophy in that was, okay, imagine the author who wrote this was writing it for BL and he died, and they've handed you this manuscript to say, can you finish it off? And these are the only scrappy notes we've got left of what he was planning. Can you finish it for us? So I looked at it and thought, okay, if this was not my book and I'd been given it, how would I then finish this? What would I take from what's already written here onwards, and how would I finish it? And the minute I kind of made that mental mind switch, it was like, I've got this. I know what I'm doing now. And then I finished the rest of it within a, you know, relatively speaking, given I had a full-time job as well, I finished it, you know, in like 2 months maybe.
Wow.
So basically it didn't turn into a Robert Jordan series then?
No, I mean, it's still a long book. I mean, I don't do short books, you know, like, but I view my 100,000 word guide, you know, word count as a guideline more than a hard wall. So, I mean, it's still a long book. There's no question about it.
Oh, well, no. See, having read that book though, I wouldn't be able to read through it and find the point in the book where I could say, oh, yeah, that's where Graham left and moved house or anything. I wouldn't be able to. And for those of you that haven't actually read The Crimson King as well, go out and read it, especially if you've read 1,000 Suns of Prospero Burns. It's like the must read after those. They go into the eye, and you get to find out if Magnus is, you know.
Yeah, it's a book. I'm really proud of how it turned out, given the troubled journey it had to get there. Because, you know, for a long time I wasn't sure it would get there, and I made sure to go back and look at it and, you know, make sure, like say, there wasn't an obvious, you know, Frankenstein monster stitching point of where you could see, this is the before the US, this is the after the US point, to try and make sure it felt like a cohesive book and it didn't feel like a book of 2 halves. Yeah, but that was definitely the hardest book I've had to finish, definitely, without a shadow of a doubt.
But it was done, and we all enjoyed it.
No, the main thing.
That's the main thing.
Yeah, so that's all of our questions from our viewers, or the people who tolerate our social media accounts.
So out of those 5, then we had Addison, Nathan, Sam, James, and Jason.
Yeah, I made my own list here while I was doing it.
Oh, there we go.
Oh,
professional.
So who's getting the Chimera? Who's picked?
I think from simply the point of view of getting into the meat of why and how books get written, I'm going to go with Jason at the end there.
Brilliant. Love it. Jason, hit us up. Send us details.
Books don't just appear, you know, the words you get on this page, they're not the first words that are written there, you know. The book doesn't come out like that, you know. A book comes out like that through blood, sweat, tears, revision after revision, editorial notes, more revisions, and what comes out of there is like a real refined version that a lot of people have helped with. And Crimson King more than most. So, you know, it's nice to sort of, you know, get under the hood a little bit and talk about the hows and the whys of a book. So that's it was a good question.
We really appreciate the insight. Every time we have some of these high-profile authors like yourself on, we love to, and we just love to ask the really difficult questions so people can understand exactly what goes into writing all these books.
Yeah,
they're
the best questions. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. So for those of you that have joined us tonight, make sure that you go out Black Library, check out a whole bunch of the books. There's False Gods, Fulgrim, the Mechanicum book as well, which I actually enjoyed, which is saying a lot for a fantasy lover. 1,000 Suns, The Outcast Dead, and Angel Exterminatus as well as one of yours. So those are my suggestions. Those are the 30k ones because I prefer the 30k myself as well. But then there's so many of the 40k ones as well, guys. So get out there, check out the books. They're on Black Library and they're absolutely amazing. Graham's been kind enough to promise to buy me one of every single one. He doesn't know that yet, but surprise. So he's going to get some off my missing. Thanks, man. But personally, for me, thank you so much for the fantasy books as well. I really look forward to some more from you as well, hopefully in the future. I have liked some of the input that you've had with the AOS stuff that's been coming out as well. So thank you.
Yeah.
Literally my pleasure. My pleasure. I wish I'd got to do more of the fantasy books before the world exploded.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, we're gonna use this, but Age of Sigmar is doing pretty good so far. We're actually.
Yeah.
I'm definitely enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. I play 40k mostly. I've got my.
Yeah, but you're enjoying it because Call of Archeon, the book is all just about Slaves to Darkness, and you've got a Slaves to Darkness army, so you're all keen for that now.
I like the bad guys.
I've got my second trilogy of Sigmar books still up here that I'd one day love to get done.
Well, penny for your thoughts, sir. What's up there? Share with the group. This is a safe bubble.
This is a safe circle
this
here.
This is the internet.
No, nobody listens to the internet.
No, listen to us.
Yeah, I mean, originally, like I say, the Sigmar Heldenhammer was only ever going to be originally one book. It was going to go up to the Battle of Blackfire Pass and then have a little coda at the end that I'd written of, and Sigmar ruled for 50 years justly and wisely, and then he went off into the mountains and was never seen again. Yada yada. The end. Done. But the writing of the book was in stark contrast to the Crimson King. It was an absolute joy to write the Sigmar books. All three of them just flew onto the page, and I had an amazing time. I loved writing those books. It was like I was unleashing my inner Robert E. Howard on those ones in terms of how quickly they were written and this sort of feel, that earthy, Hyperborean style and vibe to them all. But this and it sold pretty decently, and we're like, okay, we should before it even was released, when Nick was reading it, we looked and we chatted, and he's like, well, would you have another one in you, do you think? We could maybe do something a bit further on, some of the chaos stuff. I was like, yeah, I was thinking about that. We could do definitely. And then so we wrote Empire. And then after that, once I was halfway through the second one, he's like, well, it kind of really needs to be a trilogy, doesn't it? If you want an omnibus, it really needs to be a trilogy. And I was like, well, I have seeded some things in here that might be, damn you. So the coda went in the drawer again, and then so I wrote the third one.
I love it.
Finally, bring out the coda. This is how we're going to end it, and it's like no. And I realized myself, even in the writing of the third one, that I'd seeded in a whole bunch of threads to pull at later dates. So no, I'd love to, I've got one looking into the history of Sigmar. There's tons of stuff in there. There's one about the Skaven invasion that he was part of repulsing. So there's some seeds I set in play with, the Asabjorns, the Warrior Queen, and some tricksy vampire stuff that would come up later, and then with Geryon, he's in the beginning of the third book, and I toy with, not toy, but I plan for him to return as the Chaos Warlord that he turns into eventually, and have the final, battle for the fate of the old world. It's just basically have the sort of the pensioners of the Reichland, you know, Sigmar and Wolfgart and his and Redwayne and all the others as like old men holding the final causeway to protect the old world to Albion sort of thing against the hordes of chaos kind of thing.
So just do that, just tie it into AOS, just have like the start of the book is just a couple of liberators exploring some dark cave somewhere where they find a whole bunch of pictures and writing on all the walls, and then they're like, well, let's read this, and then the rest of the book is just post Age of Sigmar back to fantasy stuff.
There's your way.
Look at that.
Well, you never know. You know, I've no idea what the current plans are in terms of, you know, because we did the Time of Legends stuff while, you know, the Warhammer world was still a thing. Who knows? You know, maybe we could go back to it in some way, shape, or form. Maybe not. I don't know. But in my head, it's there for, you know, internal fan fiction. Yeah,
that's awesome. Well, I look forward to it. Hopefully we see some more. And thank you again for all of the books that you brought out so far. You are literally one of the 3 people that got me into Warhammer in general for everything. So you were one of my authors. So thank you very much.
Thanks very much, man. That means a lot. Cheers.
That's all the fanboy you get out of me for today. All right, I'm going to try and keep my stern reputation here. On the inside, I'm like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, but only on the inside.
But you can't tell. It's totally cool.
No, exactly. Yeah, gotta be. And also, before we end for the day, gentlemen, I would also like to remind everybody that Brindley and I are overworked. I've been complaining to the social media gods, and they have put out a post looking for people to join our team. So if you fancy yourself a bit of an AUSHAMMERian, feel free to check out the post and send us through something so we know about it. Graham, if you'd like an interview for it as well, I'll see you off there. That's fine.
I'm always available for extra positions.
Just put it in between writing short stories, writing long stories, working, and family. Yeah, sure. I'm sure you'll be fine, mate.
Like I have my, I'm like Hermione with my time travel device to keep doing more and more stuff.
Well, actually, Brindley, it's not a bad idea. Maybe we should discuss it later. I mean, he and I do have almost the exact same haircut, so when I'm not here, he can fill in for me.
But then I'll have 2 people picking on me every Monday. So.
Yep, that'd be the way to go.
Oh well, can't win every fight.
No, we can't.
Well, that's pretty much AUSHAMMER episode 20, guys. We've had the amazing Graham McNeill coming on and talking a lot of stuff with us. It's been
fun.
Extremely insightful as well into the world of writing and to the world of 40k and the hobby we love.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to get you back on again just to talk about the video game side of things someday as well.
Easily.
Yeah, definitely. You know, like I'm always up for chatting about toy soldiers, video games, movies, the works. You know, always up for a good bit of banter.
Winner.
Absolutely love it. Yeah, well, that's for us. Graham, did you have any unpaid announcements you wanted to throw up on our mediocre sort of channel?
You're the mediocre side of it, mate. All right, I'm bloody legendary. Or maybe even just a little tidbit of information for those Australian viewers out there that read your stuff. That are you allowed to drop a little hint for something, anything?
I think. Well, let's see. My next. Well, I mean, nothing's confirmed yet, but we're starting to look at ways to bring the Heresy series to its crashing conclusion. So I've certainly got some. My next project will probably involve some of the ragtag survivors from the Angel Exterminatus, the crew of the Sisypheum who were in the Seventh Serpent. Because I've got that story. Those characters their story arc still unfinished as of the end of the Seventh Serpent. So one of the ones I probably want to get back to next is finishing off that arc in glorious, explosive style.
Oh man, it's gonna be amazing.
Winning.
Cannot wait. So on that amazing note, for all of us who are paying attention, have watched this far, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for subscribing. We look forward to seeing you guys all next week. And
thanks for joining us, Graham.
No problem. Thanks for having me, and I'll talk to you all again soon, I'm sure.
All right, hit the button.